How's it going, everyone? This is Spencer with Stadia Dispatch. I'm here at downtown Phoenix, right in front of the Capitol, where we have a Convention of States rally going on today. And I'm here with Deborah. She's part of the Arizona chapter here. Now, for my viewers that might not know, what is the Convention of States? What's that whole deal built in the Constitution?
Well, the Convention of States is keying off of Article 5 of our Constitution, which allows the people to make amendments to the Constitution just like Congress would. But there's a certain way we have to go about it, which is totally legal, and this is why it's been written into the Constitution to assure people that it's done properly. So the Article 5 involves gathering the petitions for different topics, and ours is term limits, a balanced budget, and to rein in the government overreach. So when 34 states come together to apply to U.S. Congress, Congress must call a convention. Now, we have 19 states who are already on board. That means their applications are already in the U.S. Congress in Washington, D.C. We are anticipating this year getting several more states on board. We have 15 more to go. So currently we have 5 states who have active legislation in their states to get the application passed. So we're moving right along towards that magic 34 number. When that happens, Congress must call a convention, and the states will be required to send 2 delegates each to meet at that convention and form committees and have discussions and debates and come up with amendments to the Constitution particular to the term limits, the balanced budget, and federal government overreach. And that is all we are allowed to do in the convention. So there's a lot of misinformation out there that it's a constitutional convention. That is not true. You cannot have a constitutional convention with an article which is already in our Constitution, so that doesn't even make sense. But we are working towards that. We anticipate getting more states on board by the end of the year and achieving our goal.
Now, what states are in it right now, and what states are, I guess, in the progress of getting into the Convention of States?
Well, since there's 50 states, I can't just rattle them off the top of my head without a cheat sheet. But I can tell you that a big team has been working in, I believe, Iowa and Nevada, and I believe North Dakota, and out east in Rhode Island area, Massachusetts area. So we have national representatives and lobbyists out there working with those legislative departments to get this ball rolling and get it through the state legislatures.
And I know you mentioned off camera too, it's Hobbs has no say in this. If this goes through, it's the state legislature that sends the 2 delegates, correct?
That is correct. In 2017, Arizona already passed their application, so it's already on file in Washington, D.C. When that magic number of 34 states comes, we are tasked with coming up with our state legislatures coming up with 2 delegates that we're going to send out there. It has nothing to do with the governor. It has to do with we the people and petitioning our legislature to pick those 2 delegates and send them out there.
Now, is it a simple majority, or how does that work?
To appoint the delegates?
Yes.
I can't comment on that. I don't know specifically if that would be a majority legislative vote or how that works. Pardon me, I don't know that right now. So
your buddy was nodding off camera, so I'm assuming
it is true. He is my Constitution coach there.
Okay.
So yeah.
Cool. And then you talk about taxes, getting a balanced budget. Are we talking about repealing the federal income tax?
That would be up to the delegates and what they decide in that convention and how far they want to go and what the people of their states sent them there to propose. Okay. So that's up to the people.
Because I know, like right now, if you guys look at your paycheck, most of your income is going to the federal government. And, where is that money going? Ukraine, going to Israel, going to all these foreign affairs, or to NGOs with the invasion on our southern border right now. So it's like our money is not being spent efficiently. So we basically get this Convention of States passed, You curtail the federal government's ability to tax and spend. What do we do about the bureaucracy that's in D.C. right now?
Well, we need to start cutting it. A lot of these administrative departments are appointed by whoever is in office at the time. They are bloated. There's a lot of wasteful spending. If you listen to a lot of the congressmen and senators that are there now, they're constantly pointing out the wasteful spending that goes on in our government. So the thing to do is to just start cutting, first of all, cutting off the funding to those departments. Cut the funding and see what pans out, and then you would have to just start limiting the number of administrative departments that are even allowed to exist. There is no reason to have so many administrative departments out there doing the jobs that Congress is supposed to do, that our president in the executive branch is supposed to be doing, and also our Supreme Court. There's things that they are relegating and delegating to administrative departments that our Constitution never allowed for.
Right. And I know right now, I mean, that's a huge thing with Chevron deference is the Congress doesn't want to do their jobs, so they dictate it to whatever ABC agency. I mean, ATF, one of the bigger offenders. FAA, I would argue, is also an offender with some of the new drone rules. I mean, granted, there has to be a balance between, safe, air with the, how our planes are flying through the sky, right? We don't want them crashing into each other, but at the same time, I mean, right now, like I was telling you off camera, they're making it so if you're like a hobbyist drone enthusiast, you now have to actually be tracked by the federal government. You have to install a tracking device on there for any time you want to fly, even if it's like a little race drone that you have. They want to know exactly where you are in the airspace, even if you're below the 300-foot ceiling. So it's just like there's a lot of just government overreach, which has gone through Chevron deference. And I mean, that was a very bad Supreme Court decision back in the day. It sounds like our current justices maybe, keyword maybe, because we got the 2 flip votes, you guys know who those are, that might keep it there or might not. But I mean, Chevron deference needs to go. This whole administrative state needs to go, and that's one way of doing that. Now, if it does go to the Convention of States, would that be something where they could, I know it's already built into the Constitution, but is there a way of fortifying that to basically say no more Chevron deference?
There again, that's something that that is the responsibility of the Supreme Court to pick up that decision and determine what type of cases they're going to take, what types of questions they're going to hear and decide on. If that is one that they want to recall, pull it out of the old files and bring that up for debate again, that's up to our Supreme Court to do, and they should be doing it. They should be looking at the bad decisions that have been made that have really hurt our country and looking at whatever they need to do to handle those. But we, as the Convention of States, we're not going to be telling the Supreme Court what to do.
Right. Well, and I'm not saying don't tell the Supreme Court. I'm saying if we have to amend stuff on the way the Constitution is written to basically flat out say no more Chevron deference, no more administrative agencies basically making laws or rules as they call them. The flip side of that would be if you want to do that, you're the FAA, you're the ATF, you're whatever, even though I think most of the 3-letter agencies should go, but that's a separate topic. But what they could do instead, just throwing this out here, is, okay, they want a new law passed. Well, they have their quote-unquote lobbyist or whoever, right, go in front of the legislative and say, we need this law, this is how we want it written. And then instead of it's a bureaucrat making the rule, it's the legislature that's on the pen and paper of it. They're the one at the end of the day that's saying this is a good law, this is the bad law. It's not just arbitrary, let's make a rule. Right. So I don't know if that's possible, but that was just one thing I'm thinking.
Right. I would like to believe that our world has not gotten so complicated that we can't have the appropriate bodies in government making the decisions and rules and laws. When they feel that they have to turn something over to someone else and defer to them for how this should be run, then we're all lost, because then it's government is too big. How would you ever know what the real laws are? It's
True.
Just too expansive. So we need to rein all that in, bring it back, and put the decision making, the rule making, the executive portion and enforcement of those things back in the federal government where it belongs.
Okay, perfect. Is there anything else you want to add?
Just that if anyone has any more questions, please go to conventionofstates.com. You can read more about it. You can watch videos. They even had a couple of videos on there about some great actual conference simulations that we did in the last few years. Watch through those. See how the convention would actually be held and be operated. I think people would be surprised.
One final question I had. How do we prevent any World Economic Forum, Soros-backed people from invading that process and just saying no more First Amendment, no more Second Amendment? Because I know that's the risk of calling the Convention of States is theoretically if you get the wrong people there in the delegation, they could just say poo-poo to whatever amendment they wanted.
Well, first of all, a lot of the world organizations, I know there's talk about getting into a lot of these global non-governmental agencies and WHO, whatever you want to call them. Our country is not ruled by those, so we have to elect the appropriate people into our government offices and have them do their jobs. We cannot have a rogue president or a rogue Congress come up and delegate their job to another world entity. It just cannot happen. So we will be voting on and picking the delegates who have the best interests of America at heart, no matter what side of the aisle they're on. If they want to participate in helping to fix the problems of our country and come together in a convention where both sides can sit down and debate and come up with solutions. That's what we're looking for. And this process is not going to take a week or more. This could be a very long process, just like it was the first time we had a convention written. So it's taken us many years to get to this point where we have 19 states on board. It's going to take us probably a couple more years, but it is coming, and we need to be prepared for it, and we're very hopeful that it's going to turn out just great.
Yep. So basically what I'm hearing is get the right people in, restore our constitutional republic.
Absolutely.
That's the short end of it. All right, Deborah, it was a pleasure. Hey, thank you so much. Appreciate the information. I know my viewers are going to love it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.